You are able to see that PDF file, right?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Sir. So yeah, in last class we discussed about Saint-Venant's principle and stress, which deals with stress concentrations acting at a point load, near to the point load. Then we also discussed about stress concentrations in a body with a hole, and then stress concentrations due to abrupt change in geometries. We then discussed about repeated loadings and what else we did? Repeated loadings and fatigue scenario we studied. Then we discussed about plastic deformations. Plastic deformation on problem. We solved a simple problem, which was a composite section with two materials with different yield stress. So we found the P versus R curve, P versus delta curve for the combined system, and we didn't do the unloading case. If you unload the material, then there will be some, although the material will not take any force, but there will be some internal forces within the two bars. So one will be in tension, another one will be in compression. Those internal forces, internal stresses are called the residual stresses. So probably I might give a homework problem this sometime this weekend, so that we can study that problem. You can study that concept. So in today's class, we will discuss about these general stresses under general loading conditions. So previously we discussed about uniaxial loading case. So we found the stress on an inclined plane, sigma theta and tau theta. So the sign convention, you have to be careful here. So sigma theta, when it acts away from the surface, that is treated as positive, and that will usually is a tensile force. And tau theta, if it produces an anti-clockwise movement, then it is treated as positive. So for an inclined surface, sigma theta should be away from the surface, and tau theta should produce an anti-clockwise rotation. So those two quantities are treated as positive. So keeping that in mind, we'll come back to this stress analysis. Three-dimensional system, for a three-dimensional system. So we have a body, and it is elastic body. It is subjected to multiple forces: P1, P2, P3, P4. Q is a point in the interior of the body. So it is in somewhere inside, and we want to find what is a stress acting at that point Q. So the simplest way to determine stress is you cut a cross section and separate the body into two parts. The cross section will pass through that point Q. So here what we have done, we have cut a cross section that is indicated with this green color, and the point Q is lying here, somewhere there. So we are looking at the free body diagram for the left part. So there are only two forces now, P2 and P1 and P2. And to balance those forces on this surface, cut surface, there are forces. This cut surface is such that this plane is parallel to the YZ plane. So the normal to this will be along the x direction. So on this cut plane, we can resolve two forces. One is the normal force Fx, and another one is the tangential force Vx. The normal force will be acting, it's always acting along the x direction, and this tangential force will be acting in the plane of this cut cross section. It need not be along z, or it need not be along y. It can be intermediate. It can take intermediate position also. So this Fx and Vx are distributed on this cross-sectional area. So at point Q, we make a small square. We'll take a small area that is surrounding point Q. So that small area is denoted as delta A. And for that small area, the normal force is delta Fx, and the shear or the tangential force is delta Vx. Okay, so the total force is Fx and total shear tangential force is Vx. Now only for the small area surrounding the point Q, these are the normal force and this is the shear force. So if you see here, the normal force again is oriented in the x direction and delta Vx is in the plane. Okay, so what we do, we resolve this delta Vx into two components, one along the y direction and one along the z direction. So that is what is shown here. So we have delta Vx y component and delta Vx g component. So this is acting in the z direction and that is acting in the y direction. So now we define a quantity called, we define three quantities called stress components for that plane. Okay, for this small area element, we define three stress components. The first stress component is defined like this. So sigma x is equal to delta fx by delta a, and the limit delta a tends to 0. That means the area is shrinking and it is going to a 0 size. So this is the sigma x component, and we can have two components and two more components for delta Vx y component and delta Vx z component. So we define this shear component tau xy as limit delta a tends to 0, delta Vx by delta a, and we have tau xg, which is limit delta a tends to 0, del Vx by Vxz by delta a. So here if you see, the x represents the direction of the normal to the surface. So for this plane, the normal is parallel to the x-axis. Okay, and here tau xy, y component represents the direction of the stress component. So it is in the y direction. So similarly, we have tau xg. So x represents the normal to the cut surface, and z represents the direction of the component. Okay, so it is acting in the z direction here. So for that plane which is parallel to the yz plane, we have three components: sigma x, tau xy, and tau xg. So sigma x is the normal component, tau xy and tau xg are the shear components, or the shear stresses. Similarly, what we can do, we can cut a cross. If you draw the free body diagram for the right side, okay, previously what we have done, we have cut the body and we have looked at the free body diagram on the left part. So if you cut the free body diagram, if you look at the free body diagram for the right part, what will happen is we'll have again components. What are those components? One is the normal component and other is a shear component, but this time they will be acting in the opposite direction. So the normal component, instead of acting in this along x-axis, it will act in the along the negative x-axis, and that shear component, instead of acting in that direction, it will act in the negative direction. So what will happen here? Here the stress component will be in the opposite direction. It will be along the negative x-axis. So sigma x is in the opposite direction, and tau xy. So tau xy, y, if you see here, that it is acting opposite direction to the y-axis, and tau xg is acting in the direction opposite to the z-axis. Okay, so these stress components are now acting in the other directions, opposite directions. For if you look at the free body diagram from the other side, Okay, so and both these both these components should balance out. So on the opposite faces, whatever stresses are there, they will balance out, and the net force will be 0. So similarly, what we can do, we can cut a cross section parallel to the xg plane here, and then for that plane we will have sigma y component, and we will have shear components tau yx, tau yz. Okay, so tau yx will act on the plane along the x direction, and tau yz will act on the plane along the z direction, and sigma y will act in the normal direction. And similarly, we can cut a cross section parallel to the yx plane. So we are cutting a vertical section, and if you look at the face away farther, if you analyze for the body which is farther away, means if you remove the front part, so again we'll have sigma z normal stress, and then shear stress components tau zx, tau zy. So this is for a plane which is parallel to yx plane, that is a vertical plane in this particular scenario. So what we will get is around point Q, we can draw a cube, and this cube has 6 faces, and for each face we can identify the stress components. So here this face has normal in the x direction, so we have the normal stress component sigma x, shear stress component tau x y. X represents the normal and y represents the direction, and here tau x z. And similarly here the top face, we have the normal stress sigma y, and then the shear stress tau y x, so it is acting along the x direction, and tau y z, so this is acting along the z direction. And for this face, the vertical face, we have sigma z, and then tau zx, the shear stress, and tau zy. Similarly on the remaining other three faces, so suppose if you look at the left face, sigma x there will act in the negative x direction, tau zx will act in the downward direction, tau xg will act in the negative x direction. So that is how it will act. Similarly for the bottom face, again these stress components will act in the opposite direction, and for the behind for that face which is away, so there also these stress components will act opposite to these directions. So this is the state of stress at point Q. Yeah, so we can just look at those stress components. There are 3 stress components, normal stress components, sigma x, sigma y, sigma z, and then there are 6 shear stress components. So tau xy, tau xg for the plane whose normal is xg, for the plane whose normal is along the x-axis, and tau ix, tau yz, and tau zx, and tau zy. Okay, so there are 6 shear stress components, and we have already done one derivation where we showed that tau xy is equal to tau yx, tau yz is equal to tau zy, and tau zx is equal to tau xg. If this has to be satisfied for equilibrium conditions. So both the force equilibrium and moment equilibrium will be satisfied if these conditions are satisfied. So what it means is, if you look here, so whatever shear stress is acting in this direction, tau xy, it is equal to the shear stress acting in this direction, tau yx. Similarly, tau yz, the shear stress acting in this direction, it is equal to tau zy. Okay, and similarly tau zx, this shear stress is equal to tau xg. Okay, so we'll have finally only 6 unknown components: sigma x, sigma y, sigma z, tau xy, tau yz, tau zx. Okay, so if you know the 6 components, we can find the remaining. We can plot the entire stress element, stress field. So what we'll do, we'll just look at shear stress one more time carefully. So here we have a bolt which is subjected to this shear force. So there is a single plane of shear, and that the single plane of shear is shown by this green circle. So we take a point in the interior of the circle. So because of the single shear, so if you cut the cross section here and look at the free body diagram for the top part, so the shear force will act in the left direction. So that shear force is shown here, the shear force acting to the left. And if you look at the free body diagram for the bottom part, the shear force will act to the right, and that shear force is shown here. Okay. However, this 2 shear forces cannot balance each other because they will produce a net clockwise moment. So to balance it, we need a shear force acting on the vertical planes around that around that point Q. So there is a shear stress tau in the downward direction, and here the shear stress tau in the upward direction. So whenever you see this kind of problem, it means that there is not only horizontal shear stress but also shear stress in the vertical direction. Okay. So yeah, so this is the state of pure shear, and yeah, for both the force equilibrium and moment equilibrium are satisfied. What is the now we will go to the next part of this class. So we have already defined the stress components. So we need only yeah, we have the stress components here for this, and we now define something called stress tensor. So the stress tensor is sigma, is denoted by sigma, and we have the normal components sigma x, sigma y, sigma z shown along the diagonal, and the shear stress component tau xy, tau xz, tau yx, tau yz, and tau zx, tau zy shown in the remaining places. Now, what will happen if we choose a coordinate system which is different from this coordinate system? So let's look at this coordinate system which is rotated, and we have x prime here, y prime here, and z prime. So again, at around point Q, we can draw a cuboid, or we can draw a cube. Now the shear stress will be sigma x prime, tau x prime, y prime, tau x prime, g prime, and here the stresses will be sigma y prime, tau y prime x prime, tau y prime g prime. Similarly, for this phase, there will be sigma z prime, tau z prime x prime, and tau z prime y prime. So we can get the corresponding stress tensor where we show the normal stresses along the diagonal and the shear stress in the remaining places. So sigma x prime, sigma y prime, sigma z prime. So and tau x prime, y prime, tau x prime, g prime. Similarly, tau y prime, x prime. So if you look carefully here, this is a symmetric matrix because tau x prime, y prime is equal to tau y prime, x prime. Similarly, tau x prime, g prime is equal to tau z prime, x prime. Both should be equal. And tau y prime, z prime is equal to tau z prime, y prime. So this is a stress tensor. And the question is, how will you relate this stress tensor in the xy-z coordinate system with the stress tensor in the x prime, y prime, z prime coordinate system? So this is what we want to find. So how do you transform this sigma to sigma prime? For if you know the angles and all, how do you do that? So this is the question. So we'll answer this question for a 2D case. We'll not go into 3D case. We'll just look at the 2D case and see how to do the transformation. So what is the 2D case? The 2D case is defined by a specific name called the plane stress. So here you have a thin plate and it is subjected to in-plane loads. So by in-plane, that means all the forces are acting in the plane of the body. So if you see this force F1, F2, F3, F4, F5, F6, all these are in the plane of the body. If any force is acting out of when it's out of plane, it should be acting perpendicular to this to the plate. So that will be out of plane. But here all the forces are acting in plane. So when this body is subjected to in plane forces, we can look at the stress element in the interior part. You can choose any point in the interior and draw the stress element. So there will be normal components and the shear components. So for this specific case, we have this normal component sigma x and sigma y, and the shear stresses tau xy. And to balance this tau xy, there should be equal force acting in this direction. And to balance this force, we will have a force in the opposite direction. And to balance this, we need to have a force in this opposite direction here. So this is the state of stress at this point on the plate. And if you look carefully, we are missing some force, some stress components. What are the stress components we are missing? We have, if you look at the front face and the face on the rear face, there is no, that is the faces which are parallel to xy plane, there are no stresses there. So we don't have the z component stresses on these faces. So the what are missing is sigma z, tau zx, and tau zy. All these are 0. We are only having sigma x, sigma y, tau xy, tau yx. Okay. So this is a state of plane stress. Out of plane, there are no stresses acting. Out of plane is the z, which is acting in this z direction, or for the phase which is corresponding to the z direction. Okay, so this is a state of plane stress. And what we can do, if you look at this stress element from the z-axis, we will get a two-dimensional view. So we have the normal stress component sigma x, sigma y, and the shear stress component tau xy. Okay, so tau xy is equal to tau yx. for force equilibrium and moment equilibrium to happen. So in plane stress, we're having two normal stresses and one shear stress. These stresses are zero. Sigma z, tau zx, tau zy are zero. Okay, so we will be finding the transformation relations when you rotate this coordinate system to say x prime, y prime. What will be the corresponding sigma x, sigma y, tau xy? So that problem will set up now. So this is a plane stress case where out of plane stresses are stresses on the surfaces whose normal is in the z direction are zero. So this for this plane stress we have these stresses sigma x, sigma y and tau xy. And what we do, we rotate the coordinate system by an angle theta. So the new coordinate system is x prime, y prime, and the angle between x-axis and the x prime axis is theta. So for this we'll draw a stress element. So the stress element will have again two normal components, one normal component along x prime direction and another normal component along y prime direction. We have the shear stress component tau x prime y prime, and here this will be tau y prime x prime. So both will be equal. Tau x prime y prime will be tau y prime x prime. So our question, our problem is to relate this sigma x, sigma y, tau xy with sigma x prime, sigma y prime, and tau x prime y prime. So how do we relate these stress components in this xy coordinate system with the stress components in the x prime y prime coordinate system? So to set up the problem, we will draw a wedge. Okay, wedge is this triangular shaped 3D object with two surfaces, this horizontal surface and the vertical surface. They are such a way that horizontal surface has normal parallel to the y-axis and the vertical surface has normal parallel to the x-axis. Okay. So this is how we orient the wedges. That means the normal surface is parallel to the xz plane and vertical surface is parallel to the yz plane. And we have one inclined surface. This angle is such that this normal to this inclined surface makes an angle theta with the horizontal x-axis. Okay. So we'll define two components on this inclined surface. One is the normal stress component, and the other one is the shear stress component. So normal stress component will will denote by sigma theta, and the shear stress component will indicate by tau theta. So if you look carefully, the tau theta is acting up the incline. Okay, so actually the orientation is such that this tau theta will produce a anti-clockwise rotation. Okay, it will produce a anti-clockwise rotation. So the convention is whenever tau theta produces anti-clockwise rotation, that is a positive value. Okay, so yeah, we are orienting it in the positive way. Yeah, sigma theta and tau theta. And for this horizontal surface, what are the stresses acting on the horizontal surface? Can anyone answer that? I showed the answer. So what are the stresses acting on the horizontal surface? Because this horizontal plane is similar to this plane. Okay. So we have on the horizontal plane sigma y and tau y x. Okay. So those are the stresses acting on the horizontal plane. And on the vertical plane, so the vertical plane will correspond to this plane. So we have sigma x and we have tau
X.
y.
Y.
Okay. So those are the stresses acting on this vertical plane. Now what we do is we'll want to find what is the area of the horizontal plane and what is the area of the vertical plane. So first we define that the wedge thickness of the wedge is W, and now we'll use our relations for the triangle. So this angle is theta. This angle will be 90 minus theta, this angle will be theta, and this angle is taken theta. So we have BC is AC cos theta and AB is AC sin theta. The area of the inclined surface is A1, C1, C. We denote it by a term delta A, and the horizontal component, horizontal surface is A1, B1, P. That is equal to AB into W. AB is AC sin theta, so AC sin theta into W. So AC into W is delta A. So the horizontal projection is horizontal surface area is delta A sin theta. Similarly, the vertical surface area will be delta A cos theta. So you can get that relation. It will be BC times W. So BC is AC cos theta into W. So AC into W is delta A. So what we have here is, if this inclined surface is delta A, the horizontal projection is delta A sin theta, and the vertical projection is delta A cos theta. That vertical surface, yeah. And what we'll do now is we'll draw the we'll analyze we'll show the forces on this inclined face and the horizontal and vertical face, and then apply the equations of equilibrium. So before going there, let's look at the inclined surface, and we have two components here, sigma theta and tau theta. So if you look at the stress diagram for the inclined surface, we have sigma x prime and tau x prime, y prime. Okay. So what we can say is this sigma theta is equal to sigma x prime, and similarly tau theta is equal to tau x prime, y prime. Okay. So this is one relation we can obtain. So for that inclined surface, we have sigma theta is sigma x prime, tau theta is tau x prime, y prime. So what we will do, we will show the forces for the inclined surface. So the area of cross section inclined surface is delta A. So the force in the normal direction is sigma x prime delta A, and the shear component tangential force will be tau x prime y prime delta A. And for the vertical face, we have stress sigma x. So the force will be sigma x times area of that vertical face, which is delta A cos theta, and the shear component is tau ix, and the force associated with it will be tau ix delta A cos theta. So there is one normal component and one shear component. So there are two forces associated with those two components. Similarly, for the bottom face, we have sigma y, and the force associated is sigma y delta A sin theta, and we have the shear component, force is tau xy delta A sin theta. Okay. Now we have shown the 6 forces for each face. Total there are 6 forces, so 2 forces for each face. Okay. Now what we do is we will try to resolve all the forces along x prime direction and write the equilibrium equation for x prime, sigma fx prime, and we resolve all the forces along y prime direction, and then write the equilibrium equation sigma fy prime. Okay. So let's look at the resolving the force along the x prime direction. So to do that, this is the hypotenuse. So we draw a line parallel to the hypotenuse here. Okay, this is this line parallel to hypotenuse, and to this line we draw a normal, and that normal is here. Similarly, for this surface, we draw a line parallel to the hypotenuse, which is shown here, and we draw a line parallel to that line, and that is this line here. So we will now resolve the component along. Before doing that, we'll have to find the angles. So this angle is theta. So this angle will be also be theta. This will be 90 minus theta, and we'll get back here theta. And here, this angle is theta. These two lines are parallel. So these vertical lines, these two are vertical lines. So if this is theta, this angle also will be theta. And this will be 90 minus theta. So this angle will be again theta. So with this, our job is simplified. We'll just write the components along the x prime direction. So along x prime direction, we have sigma x prime delta A. So for the normal component, sigma x delta A cos theta, the component along x prime will be here. So sigma x delta A cos theta into cos theta. So it will act in the negative direction. So that is what is shown here. Minus sigma x delta A cos theta into cos theta. Similarly, for the normal component in the this bottom surface, we have sigma y delta A sin theta, and this angle is theta. So this component will be sigma y delta A sin theta into sin theta. Okay, so that will act along this direction. And we can look at the shear component. So shear component is tau yx delta A cos theta, and the component along this direction. So this is 90 minus theta. So cos 90 minus theta is sin theta. So tau yx delta A cos theta sin theta. Similarly, for this component, it is tau xy delta A sin theta, and this angle is theta, so it will be delta A sin theta cos theta. So that component is this one. So we have found the sigma fx prime. Similarly, we can find sigma fy prime, that is force equilibrium in the y direction. So for y direction, this component will have, normal component will have 0 contribution, and we have tau x prime y prime delta A along y prime direction, and sigma x delta A cos theta into sin theta, that will be the component in the y prime direction. And for this sigma y delta A sin theta into cos theta, but it will be acting in the opposite direction. So we have sigma x delta A cos theta, and we will have that minus sign, minus sigma y delta A sin theta cos theta. And for tau yx, again we can resolve. So this is 90 minus theta, so cos sin 90 minus theta is cos theta. So we have tau yx delta A cos square theta, that will be in the negative direction, and tau xy delta A sin theta, and this direction will be sin square theta. Okay, because this is theta, the normal will be in this direction, so the component will be sin theta. So that's what we have here. So these are simply obtained from the force equilibrium equations. And what we'll do, we will take the delta A term out and send all these terms to the right hand side. Similarly, we'll send all these terms to the right hand side. So we'll get sigma x prime is equal to sigma x cos square theta plus sigma y sin square theta plus 2 tau xy sin theta cos theta, because tau yx is same as tau xy. Similarly, we have tau x prime y prime as minus of sigma x minus sigma y cos theta sin theta, and both are equal, tau x and tau xy. So we'll take tau xy cos, sorry, there is some mistake. Yeah, when you send to the right, minus will become plus. So plus tau xy cos square theta minus sin square theta. So that is the expression for, so this is the expression for sigma theta, and this is the expression for tau theta. For this specific case, sigma theta happens to be equal to sigma x prime, and tau theta happens to be equal to tau x prime y prime. So what we will do, we'll use our trigonometric relations. Cos square theta is 1 plus cos 2 theta by 2, and sin square theta 1 minus cos 2 theta by 2, and cos 2 theta is cos square theta minus sin square theta, and sin 2 theta is 2 sin theta cos theta. So that we will use. So what we'll do is we'll replace this cos square theta plus with 1 plus cos 2 theta by 2, and sin square theta with 1 minus cos 2 theta by 2, and 2 sin theta cos theta will be sin 2 theta. So we will get here tau x by sin 2 theta, and sigma x plus sigma y by 2 plus sigma x minus sigma y by 2 cos 2 theta. This is for sigma theta. And tau theta, which is tau x prime y prime for this specific case, is minus of sigma x by 2 into sin 2 theta and tau x by cos 2 theta. Okay, so I will take a break here, and I will come back, and we'll look at these equations in detail for the y prime. If you rotate the axis by 90 degrees, so we'll come back to it one more time. I will take a break. Are you able to hear me?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay, fine. Yeah. So what we have done here is we have looked at this wedge element, and we have identified the stress components for the bottom surface, stress components for the vertical surface, and stress component for the inclined surface. And then what we did, we calculated the force corresponding force components. Once we found the force components, we then applied the equilibrium equations along x prime and along y prime direction. So with that, we got sigma theta and tau theta. Okay, so for this specific case of theta, we have that sigma theta is sigma x prime and tau theta is tau x prime y prime. Okay, and that relations are shown here. And what we need is, what will happen if the orientation of we want to find what is sigma y prime. Okay, so how do you find sigma y prime? We have found sigma x prime and tau x prime y prime here. So yeah, we have to find one more component, that is the sigma y prime. So we need to find this component. So how do you get that y prime component? So to get that, we will use the same formula but with a small change. Is a thing we'll do. So here we have that wedge element, and instead of the wedge element has the components sigma theta prime and tau theta prime. Okay, so sigma theta prime is again acting away from the surface. Tau theta prime is such that it will produce a anti-clockwise movement. Now if you look at the normal to this surface, inclined surface, that normal is acting at an angle theta prime with the x-axis. So this theta prime value is actually theta plus 90, because x prime is theta, this y prime will be along theta plus 90. So with this simple information, we can get sigma theta prime. So instead of having theta, we will replace with 90 plus theta. So sigma theta prime will be sigma x prime, sigma x plus sigma y by 2 plus sigma x minus sigma y by 2 into cos 2 theta. So it will be 2 times 90 plus 2 theta. So 180 plus 2 theta. And you have sine 2 theta prime, which is 180 plus 2 theta. So what will happen here, cos of 180 plus 2 theta is minus cos 2 theta, and sine of 180 plus 2 theta is minus sine 2 theta. So sigma theta prime is sigma x plus sigma y by 2 minus this value times cos 2 theta minus tau xy sine 2 theta. Now for this specific case, the stress sigma theta prime corresponds to sigma y prime. Okay, so this value is also equal to sigma y prime. Now we can find tau theta prime. So tau theta prime will replace again theta, instead of theta we'll use theta prime. So we'll have minus of sigma x minus sigma y by 2 sine 180 plus 2 theta plus tau xy cos 180 plus 2 theta. So this will be minus sine 2 theta and minus cos 2 theta. So we take the minus term out. Okay, and we'll get again this term. If you look at this term was equal to tau x prime y prime. So tau theta prime is minus tau x prime y prime. So this value of tau theta prime is this quantity, and that is equal to minus tau x prime y prime. So if you look at this diagram, tau theta prime and tau y prime x prime are related by the negative value. Okay, so tau y prime x prime is minus tau theta prime, and tau theta prime is minus tau x prime y prime. So minus and minus will cancel out, and we'll get tau x prime y prime. So we'll get this magnitude is equal to this magnitude. Okay, so that is what we get here. Yeah. So this is sigma y prime. Yeah, and tau y prime x prime is same as tau x prime y prime. So if you look at sigma y prime, if you want, only the difference is this term and this term are becoming negative, minus and minus. If you, yeah, so here sigma x prime is we have this plus term plus sigma x minus sigma y by 2 cos 2 theta plus tau xy sin 2 theta, and here we have minus sigma x minus sigma y by 2 cos theta minus tau xy sin 2 theta. So if you add up these two expressions, sigma x prime plus sigma y prime, this term and this term will cancel out, and we'll get sigma x plus sigma y. Okay, so we'll get this expression. sigma x plus sigma y, sigma x prime plus sigma y prime is sigma x plus sigma y. So the sum of these normal stresses is invariant. That means it doesn't change. Sigma x plus sigma y or sigma x prime plus sigma y prime, that is a constant. For whatever rotation which is happening in the coordinate system, these values will not change. Some of these normal stress components is constant. So we'll apply this whatever we have learned for this simple problem, for a very simple problem. So what is given? We have a plane stress problem with the stress components sigma x, sigma y, and tau xy. So 16,000 psi, which is 16 ksi in the x direction, and y direction we have 6 ksi, and shear stress tau xy is 4 ksi. So to balance it, we'll have opposite force, opposite shear stress in this direction, and to produce moment equilibrium, we'll have the shear stress like this and shear stress like this. Okay, so what are we asked? We are asked to find the stresses acting on an element inclined at theta is 45. So the new coordinate system is making an angle of inclination of 45 degrees. So the corresponding stress element is sketched here. So the stress element will have again the normal stress component sigma x prime and sigma y prime, and the shear stress component tau x prime y prime. So once you know this, all the remaining three stresses, shear stresses are known. The directions are also known. So we will apply that formula. Sigma x prime is average of that plus sigma x difference of the difference times cos 2 theta plus tau xy sin 2 theta. So theta here is 45 degrees. So cos 2 theta is cos 90, sin 2 theta is sin 90. So we will get around 16 plus 6 by 2 and 16 minus 6 by 2 and 4 sin 90. So we are getting 15 ksi. So this term will go to 0. This term will be 5. This term will be 10, and I'm sorry, 16 plus 6 is 11. Yeah, 16 plus 6 by 2 is 11. 11 plus 4 is 15. Now, to find sigma y prime, we can put minus sign here. So it will be 11 minus 4, which is 7. Okay, this will be minus and this will be minus. So 16 plus 6 by 2 is 11. 11 minus 4 is 7. There is another way to get sigma y prime, which is that sigma x prime plus sigma y prime is sigma x plus sigma y. So we can subtract sigma x prime from this sum and get again the same quantities 7. So there are two ways to do that. First is replacing this plus with minus, this plus with minus, and get the answer, or sum of sigma x prime plus sigma y prime is equal to sigma x plus sigma y. That also will give the same answer, 7 ks. Now we can find tau x prime y prime. We have this formula minus sigma x minus sigma y by 2 sin 2 theta plus tau xy cos 2 theta. Sin 90 is 1, cos 90 is 0. 16 minus 6 by 2 is 10 by 2 is 5. So it will have minus 5 ksi. So if you look carefully, there is a negative sign. So what it means is the shear stress is acting in this direction down the, so it is a clockwise, it's acting in the clockwise direction. And once this shear stress is known, remaining stresses we can find out. How? If this is acting downward, then opposite phase will act in the opposite direction, so it will act upward. And this two will produce a clockwise movement. To balance it, we will have these two forces. So this is an error here. Actually, this line should, this arrow should act in the upward direction. I made an error here. Yeah. So this arrow is okay. This arrow will produce will act down the incline, and the bottom face will act in the upward direction. So this is a small error. Please correct it. I can't correct it now. So yeah. So once once shear stress is known, the direction and magnitude of the remaining shear stress are complete. Okay. So okay. So we have solved a very simple problem where it involves the finding of shear stress for a when the coordinate systems are rotated by 45 degrees. Okay. Yeah. Now we will look into that equations one more time and try to get some interesting relations, quantities. Okay. So the two quantities we are of interest are the principal stresses and the maximum shear stress. So first we will discuss about principal stresses. So we have the shear stress in the normal direction, that is sigma theta, given by this expression, and shear stress we have the normal stress given by sigma theta, and that is given here, and shear stress tau theta given by this expression. So if you look here, what we'll do, we'll send this term sigma x plus sigma y by 2 to the left hand side, and then square the left hand side, and similarly we'll square this term and see what we'll get. So sigma theta minus sigma x plus sigma y by 2 whole square plus tau x prime y prime square or tau theta square, it will be equal to this square plus this square. So what will happen? We'll have cos square 2 theta. This will be a plus b, and so we'll have sigma x minus sigma y cos square 2 theta term here, and sigma x minus sigma y by 2 sin square 2 theta. So we can add those terms and we will get this term sigma x minus sigma y by 2 whole square. And similarly tau xy square sin square 2 theta plus cos square 2 theta, we'll get tau square xy, and we'll have plus 2ab term, and here we'll have minus 2ab term. So those two will cancel out. So we are left with only this term sigma x minus sigma y square plus tau square xy. So what can you gain from this equation? So if you look carefully, see I'm interchanging. I'm using this sigma x prime interchangeably with sigma theta here, and tau x prime y prime interchangeably with tau theta. Okay, so for that, please remember that. So we are given sigma x sigma y tau xy, and the variables are sigma theta and tau theta. So this entire expression, it is like a circle expression. So it is like x minus a whole square plus y square is equal to b square. So this is in the form of a circle. So what we'll do here, we'll replace this sigma x plus sigma y2 with average. We term that as average, and this entire term we'll call it as a radius square. Okay, so the radius value will be square root of this. So it will be sigma x minus sigma y whole square plus tau xy square. So this is a form of a circle with the center on the x-axis. The center distance is at a distance of sigma average, and the radius is this. So we are plotting that circle here. So OC is sigma x plus sigma y by 2. Okay, OC is sigma x plus sigma y by 2, and radius is CB or AC. That radius is given by this expression, square root of sigma x minus sigma y plus tau square xy. So we are plotting that circle. So the x-axis represents the sigma theta, that is this variable, and we are plotting tau theta in the downward direction. Okay, so the tau theta is shown here. Instead of showing in the upward direction, we are plotting it in the downward direction. So there is a reason for that. We can discuss that later. So we have x-axis and y-axis, and we have our circle with center at a distance OC given by sigma average, and radius given by this value. Now if you look carefully, we can identify 2 points, A and B. Okay, so A and B are such that this is the farthest point and this is the nearest point. Okay, OB is very smallest value of sigma theta, and OA is the maximum value of sigma theta. So we can calculate this OA and OB, the maximum value and the minimum value. So how to do that? So the maximum value is given as OC plus CA. Maximum value is OA, which is OC plus CA. So OC is known, it is average stress, plus CA is known, CA is the radius. Okay, so the maximum value is sigma average plus radius. So that is sigma x plus sigma y by 2 plus this term. And similarly, we can get the minimum value, which is OB, which is OC minus CB. Okay, so minimum value is OB, which is OC minus CB. So again, OC is sigma average, BC is CB is radius. So we will get sigma average minus radius. So the maximum normal stress is OA, minimum normal stress is OB. So these maximum and minimum values are called the principal stresses. Okay. So the sigma maximum and sigma minimum, those are called the principal stresses. And for this principal stress, what is the shear stress? So at point A, what is the shear stress? What is tau theta? Tau theta is 0. Similarly, for point B, the shear stress is 0. Okay, so yeah, so this point is, we'll discuss it again in detail. So one thing you remember, see, is that this circle will intersect at 2 points on the sigma theta plane, on the sigma theta axis, and we have one maximum value and one minimum value. The maximum value is given as sigma average plus radius, and minimum value is given as sigma average minus radius. And these two values are called the principal stresses, sigma theta 1, sigma theta 2. Okay, those are the principal stresses. That is what we have. Now we will have to look at this circle one more time and identify some parts of the circle. So we have the stress element here, sigma x, tau xy. Here I written wrong thing, sigma y. It is not sigma x, it is sigma y and tau yx. Okay, and tau xy and tau yx are equal. Now, if you look at the right face, okay, the right face, the normal is like this, and that normal is making an angle of 0 degrees with the x-axis. Okay, so we have sigma theta and tau theta, which is producing anti-clockwise movement. So sigma theta is equal to sigma x, and tau theta is equal to tau xy. Okay, sigma theta is sigma x, and tau theta is tau xy. So for theta is equal to 0 degrees, that is this phase, the value for sigma theta is sigma x and tau theta is tau xy. So this point will, this quantity is shown, is identified on this plane, sigma theta tau theta plane. So what we have, sigma theta is sigma x. So m value, we identify one point m such that the coordinates are sigma x and tau xy. Okay, so we are identifying the coordinate for represented by this equalities. Similarly, for the vertical direction, we have normal component sigma theta, tau theta component like this. Tau theta component will be such that it will produce an anti-clockwise movement. Now, if you compare with the stress diagram, we have sigma y same as sigma theta. So sigma theta value is sigma y there, and tau theta value here, tau theta is acting in the leftward direction and tau yx is acting in the rightward direction. So we have tau theta is minus tau yx. Okay, so or you can write it as tau yx is same as tau xy, so it will be minus tau xy. So we can identify this specific coordinate, x coordinate, y coordinate, and we denote it by n, and that represents the stress corresponding to the vertical face. And that n is given as sigma theta is sigma y and tau theta is minus tau xy. So that is shown here. OQ is sigma y, and since we are taking tau theta positive in this downward direction, so this point n will lie on the upward, above the sigma theta plane, sigma theta axis. So it will be sigma y minus tau xy. So we have identified the stress, we have identified the coordinates of this this plane and this plane on the sigma theta tau theta plane. Okay, on this coordinate system. And if you look carefully, this mn is actually, the midpoint of mn is what? Sigma x plus sigma y by 2, and tau x minus tau y is again 0. So the midpoint is again coinciding with the center. So actually mn is the diameter. Okay, mn value is the diameter. And yeah. Now what we will do is, we will find two quantities. 2 theta p1 and 2 theta p2. Okay, so what are these two quantities and how to find them? Yeah, so what we'll do, what is this angle 2 theta p1? We'll try to find that. So tan 2 theta p1 is Pm by Cp. Yeah, so tan 2 theta p is Pm, Mp by Cp. So what is Cp? Cp is OP minus OC. OP is actually sigma x and OC is sigma x plus sigma y by 2. So Cp is sigma x minus sigma y by 2. And MP value is tau xy. So tau xy by sigma x minus sigma y by 2. So we'll get tan 2 theta p is 2 tau xy by sigma x minus sigma y. Okay, so what is the physical meaning of this is, what is the physical meaning of this? So if you solve for this equation, you will get two terms, 2 theta p1 and 2 theta p2. And from there you get theta p1 and theta p2. So these theta p1 and theta p2 are orientations of the principal planes. And if you look at this diagram, 2 theta p2 minus 2 theta p1 is 180 degrees. So we have theta p2 minus theta p1 is 90 degrees. So the principal planes are mutually perpendicular. Okay, so yeah, this is regarding the orientation of the principal planes. So with respect to this, so what we have here is sigma x, sigma y, and tau xy. If we rotate the coordinates by theta p1, okay, we have x and y in the mutually perpendicular directions. If we rotate it by theta p1, we will get the principal stresses. Okay, the stress element corresponding to it is the principal stress, and there the shear stresses are 0 for those principal planes. For the planes there, the shear stress is 0 because tau theta is 0 on the principal planes. Okay. So probably we have to solve a problem because it looks very abstract, and this part probably we'll discuss by, maybe I'll not go to the next slide because it will probably cause more confusion than required. It's little more complex. So probably we'll do an example basing on this concept in the next class, so that you can understand exactly what is happening there. So this is a very this is a chapter 7 of the textbook. Okay, so it is a little tricky to understand. Ideally we should have taught this after torsion and bending, but last 20-25 years it has been taught like this, so we are following the same convention. So next class we'll do some example and hopefully you will understand it. Okay, so yeah, so tomorrow we'll discuss one example, and
Yes, sir.
then we can gather more, we'll understand problem better. So we'll end the class now, and we'll meet tomorrow.
Okay, sir. Thank you.